Imagine this, born in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and as a young female, you were always very expressive, but didn't always have the discipline to get you across the finish line. You begin exploring many talents, and through training to become a professional dancer, you develop the discipline and structure needed to set you up for a successful and self-fulfilling future. Your natural hustle and instinctive determination pushed you deep into the nightlife industry, where you started out as a bottle waitress and quickly worked your way up through the ranks of nightclubs across the country to become one of the most sought-after nightlife consultants in the world. With a creative heart and a business mind, you're taking the world by storm by simply being 100% yourself. Tonight's guest will entertain that experience. This is The Plug, people lending us game.
I am the plug. I am the plug. I am the plug. I am the plug.
Welcome to another episode of The Plug. I'm one of your hosts, Henry Crockett.
I am Nick Beam.
And sadly to say, we're missing Drea B tonight. And that's only due to the fact that she's been in LA and she'll be landing just in time for us to kick it with her later this evening.
That's right. She's definitely doing big things. So we had to keep the show rolling. You know, we didn't get the blow up picture like they do at the clubs made in time, but we figured she'd be back before we got that finished. But yeah, she's handling the Billboard Awards, right?
Yep, she was doing billboards over the weekend.
Yeah, shout out to Drea B over at the Billboard Awards in Los Angeles too.
And then she was at a dinner party.
Yes, for the late great Notorious B.I.G. and his son. Absolutely.
Damn.
So yeah, Drea's actually handling some major business out in LA. She requested that we go ahead and continue the show.
Right. The plug must go on.
The plug must go on. So yeah, you know, we're gonna go ahead and get right into it though.
Yeah, I mean, what's the buzz in the city this week, right?
Bruh, well, it's Memorial Day weekend. So that's a major play for us in Las Vegas. And, you know, unfortunately, we missed that last year due to COVID. So we weren't able to experience what Vegas has to offer. But I would imagine with all of everything that's going on in the city, it's going to look pretty crazy.
Man, it's already crazy.
Oh, like, yeah, it's been crazy.
It's loaded. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
We're here on Thursdays going out on the strip, and it's like countless people running everywhere. It's like,
oh yeah, they couldn't wait. My phone's
like
been blowing up. I've been avoiding calls. No, I'm joking. Hey, I'm not in Vegas this weekend. I'm actually in Ahwatukee. No.
And our guests tonight are going to be able to highlight, you know, what's going on right here in the lovely Bloom.
Oh obviously. Yeah, absolutely. Our guest tonight has got some gems to drop. You know, the biggest thing about the buzz in the city though is, you know, obviously there's a large lineup for Bloom starting tonight, including all the way into Monday. Mm-hmm. You know, but then we got the Devin Haney fight.
Oh, shout out Devin Haney. Shout out BH Bill Haney too. I mean, the Haney team is awesome. I will be there on Saturday to support like I always do. And Nick, I got a ticket for you, bro. I haven't brought that up yet, but you know, join me over there. But Devin Haney's dope. Anybody who hasn't got a chance to follow Devin Haney, please tune in to the fight. It's on DAZN. You'll be able to watch Devin Haney do his thing, and it's here in Las Vegas. So.
That's right. Devin Haney's career is very promising. I mean, it's a lot of good young fighters.
Right.
But I think one of my favorites, obviously, is Devin Haney. And I'm not saying that just because we connected to him, you know, through you, obviously. But no, the kid is talented, man.
Right.
You know, he's got all of what it takes to be a star in a major career in boxing. So I'm looking forward to watching that match this weekend too.
And he's young.
He's young.
So that's going to be dope. And then again, I look forward to when we can get Bill, BH right here on the show. I mean, he's talked about opportunities showing up on the plug. So it'd be exciting to get him on maybe after this fight.
We look forward to it.
Especially since we're plugging the fight. Everybody needs to tune in. If you haven't bought a ticket yet, it's not too late.
That's right.
And man, let's go. I'm excited about that. And then last but not least.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Urban Necessities in their grand opening.
I'm sorry.
They're going to be at Urban Necessities. Oh, okay. He's showing off the kick. Got on the Gamma.
I don't know that place.
Gamma Ray 11s.
But I'm sure they can probably find a pair of these over there at Urban Necessities. Shout out to Jay, man.
Yeah.
Shout out. I'm excited.
Jay and Joni, you know, his wife, who is the partners in the store. They got a phenomenal story. I mean, maybe we'll get him on the show at a later date. But, you know, he's really worked his way up through the city. And this opening tonight is the testament to his hard work.
Wow.
And what he's come from. You know, he's been homeless, and now he's generating millions of dollars through a consignment store.
Right.
And he's also partnered with tattoo artists across the world. He's also doing barbershop, and it's like almost like a 3 or 4-in-1 conglomerate inside of this store. You know, like it's just a major play in this Caesar store, a store in Caesar's Palace. So, yeah, this event tonight, you're gonna see a lot of celebrities. Well, I won't say a lot. You'll see a nice handful of celebrities.
Yeah.
You never know who's gonna be there, but I can tell you who is going to be there.
Us with Access to Plug.
We're definitely accessing the plug for Urban Necessities tonight. And yeah, I mean, we're not gonna keep the show going too much longer because what our guest has to say, we need all your attention to listen to what she got to say.
Right.
And if you didn't catch what she said, you got to stop the show, rewind, and press play.
Right.
With that being said, let's head over and get these drinks at the bar.
Man, I'm out. Let's go. You think you think she'll be upset that I don't drink? Yeah, all right. Let's go.
All right.
There's
feel like
melody. I'm confused.
What up? What up? What up? Good to see you guys.
Hey.
Hi.
We on the plug. We on the plug.
Hi.
Yeah, we coming in.
Oh,
Yeah, little double team. Double
Hi.
team action.
So, let the pluggers know today we've got our big time buddy over here, Mr. Valentino. He's gonna be hosting our drinks tonight. So, drinks with Tino. And
Drinks with Tino.
like that.
He's so
Obviously.
spicy.
Come on now.
he's gonna introduce this lovely guest who's gonna keep the
Oh.
table still looking beautiful because me and
gotta
Nick.
have
We hold it down as Dria's absent. So,
Yes.
So
Sir,
look.
we miss you. We miss you. I'm holding it down.
absolutely. So, you already know we came to get the drinks.
Okay, let's get it.
Okay.
While y'all wait for y'all drinks to get made or whatever, we're gonna go head back to the couch and meet Sasha over there.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's yours right there,
I
boss.
appreciate
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
little
yeah.
brown
This is
liquor.
yours.
The Crockett.
Come on for the Crockett. Here
All right,
it is, the
cheers.
Crockett.
We'll see
Thank
y'all
you
later.
guys.
All right,
You know what?
Sasha.
I have to get.
Bye.
Hold on. I have to get your beautiful drink beautiful.
Oh, hold on.
I mean, you know, darling.
No, but we need to talk about this.
Is it a moment?
No, it's a moment. We're used to seeing the Valentino with like gold flakes on it. I know. So don't be alarmed.
Something new.
Valentino is giving you a 2.0. As usual, he's upgrading shit.
Come on.
Can I curse? Okay.
You
So
know, just giving you an upgrade.
we're
We have to change it.
experimenting. Bloom, flowers, Valentino, drink. It's like Bloom and Valentino in a drink.
And I love it.
I'm
Okay.
just saying, let's
we have to
taste
tell
it.
the audience. Hold on.
Okay.
We have to tell a little audience before we do a sip. We
Okay.
have to tell the audience who you are. This is the beautiful Sasha. I mean, I say it like the Beyonce because you guys, this lady is multifaceted, beautiful. I mean, educated. People respect her name. So we're gonna do a cheers to that,
Okay.
having this beautiful talent on the plug today. Come
Oh,
on,
wow.
cheers.
What an intro,
Cheers.
Valentino.
You are amazing.
Oh
Let's
my
do a little
God,
sip.
thank you, honey.
Oh, it gets better and
Oh, yeah.
better every single time. Okay, so I'm
Good.
so happy to have you here today.
I'm happy to be here.
We're gonna plug them in.
Okay.
Okay, this right here is a nightlife consultant. And when I say consultant, you guys, she literally puts on the biggest shows for the biggest names. She's so humble, she'll never tell you, but this lady knows everybody. She is the plug, okay? So I want you to tell them just a little bit about what you do with consulting.
Okay. I cannot match your energy.
Cut it out.
Yes.
Cut it out.
He has the biggest personality.
Cut it
Okay.
out.
Thank you for the intro. I appreciate that.
You're amazing.
So I've been in nightlife forever. I started maybe 15 years ago in nightlife,
Okay.
and through various channels worked my way up. And as I started to get deeper into the production aspect of nightlife, I found the part of it that I'm most passionate about, which is giving people an experience. You
Facts.
know, I think people don't realize in nightclubs and restaurants, a lot of times people are celebrating really big moments. Like you come to the club, you come to restaurants for your birthday, for anniversaries, to celebrate promotions or accomplishments, so many things. So when I realized that I could integrate people's like big memories and moments in their life with unforgettable experiences, whether that be over the top shows or adding choreography or adding dancers
Yes.
or building custom props and all that kind of stuff.
Lifting the bottle girls. Okay, so lifting
Yes.
the bottle girls up on Ferraris,
Yes.
firecrackers,
Yes.
smokes, tigers, lions,
Yes.
and bears. Oh my.
I like to give a production
Yes.
level performance in a nightclub space. Obviously, there's way more to it than that. Staffing, hiring,
Yes.
infrastructure, administrative stuff, but that's the part of nightlife that I'm passionate about. So after I kind of worked my way up through the ranks, like as a GM, as a director of operations, and I started to get into consulting to help other nightclubs brand themselves, I really kind of found my niche, and that's how I ended up being a nightlife hospitality
And
consultant.
you're amazing. Like, you are created for this.
Thank you.
To see the way you talk to the staff, to see the way that you pull things together. Bloom loves her. We are drinking her juices. She's fresh. She keeps all the girls looking amazing, from the themes
Honey.
of Cinco de Mayo, which was absolutely amazing, to Memorial Day that is coming up.
Oh, you
Can
guys don't even know.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit what's
Maybe
going on
like
Memorial
a little.
Day?
So
Just a
we're-
little bit.
Okay, a little bit. So we have some custom uniforms.
Okay.
So you're gonna see the girls in some things that you've never seen them in at Bloom before. So
Okay,
that's really
okay.
exciting. We do shoot like music video quality promotional videos. So we have a really sexy video coming for Memorial Day
Oh.
just to kind of promote what the vibe is gonna be.
Yes.
And we have some custom bottle service presentations for Memorial Day too.
Oh, so it's just bop, 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 bop,
Yeah,
bop,
we're not
bop.
playing with the girls.
Oh, girl,
Why
can't-
would we play?
Why would we play?
Why
we
would we
came
play?
to slay.
That's
You
all.
know we're here at Bloom, and you are
Yes.
plugging the girls.
Yes, yes.
That's why I love you. I love your energy.
Oh, thank you, honey.
It's fresh to have someone that has been through the trenches, because you started as a bottle girl, correct?
did.
So you know what these girls go through. You know
Yes,
the
of
pressure
course.
of it. And I
Yeah.
love that you kind of make sure that everyone is on the same page. We're pulled
So important.
together.
So
It's
important.
just so good to finally have a nightlife consultant. You're
Thank you,
amazing.
honey. I
We're
appreciate
blessed to
that.
have. I'm telling you, you guys,
Bloom
you're gonna
is
know
blessed
this
to
lady.
have you too, though.
Cut
Big
it.
personality. You put the whole brand on your back. Like, we appreciate that so much.
But when we team up, they're not gonna know what's coming
oh
up
no,
this year.
no.
Baby.
The girls can't even handle it.
So you guys
I
gotta
don't
stay
know.
tuned. I'm plugging you right now. It's some new things about to go down. We have the beautiful Miss Sasha. Thank you so much for having drinks.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Drinks with Tino.
Come on, drinks with
Come
Tino. Is it
on,
her, not the
Valentino
last
2.0.
time?
No.
Cheers.
Not the last.
All right,
Cheers,
cheers,
guys.
cheers.
Salud.
Salute,
Wow.
salute.
Okay.
First and foremost, we would love to say welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome to the plug.
Yeah, thanks for having
I'm,
me.
I'm sure you and Valentino had an amazing time over at the bar.
We did.
This isn't the second drink, is it?
No, this is the first. I'm a babysitter. I
Okay.
babysit.
Gotcha,
Well,
gotcha.
well, Valentino kind of updated us a little bit. He said that you guys talked about Memorial Day weekend here at Bloom.
We did. We gave a little bit because I don't like to give too much away. But
Okay.
Okay, it's gonna be exciting though.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. There's gonna be some things that you've definitely never seen at Bloom before for Memorial Day.
Oh, okay.
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 Yeah.
I guess we guys know where we need to be on Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
the one and only place.
Yeah.
Bloom.
Definitely some new things, some new show presentations, new uniforms. Aesthetically, there'll be some stuff that you guys haven't
That's
seen
Nick's
before.
word right there.
You already know. Aesthetically
Really?
is
Oh
my
no,
word.
I love that. That's my word
You know
too.
what I'm saying? Cheers to that.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
Cheers
look
to
at
the
that.
aesthetic of it all.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll
The
stay over
aesthetic
here.
sets the vibes, sets the tone.
I'll stay over here.
Bro, you supposed to cheers.
You
Quit
have
playing.
to. First of
Quit
all, you
being
don't
weird.
even drink on our first years.
Right.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's
There we
against
go.
all types of rules.
What is because you have alcohol?
Mm,
So tell us about you. I mean, at this point, you know, obviously Bloom is where you are today, but
I'm gonna have to lick my thumb, so you're gonna have to just.
wow.
Oh, it's all good.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure our audience enjoyed that.
It's all good. It's
Well,
all good.
it was about to be a mess. All right, go ahead.
But you know, obviously you're here in Bloom now. But before you were Bloom, you've been Sasha Lance for a long time.
I am always Sasha Lance.
So,
yes.
so where did that begin? Give us kind of a rundown on when you got to become the person you are today. Like, where's the start?
That's so weighted. That's such a
It
weighted
is.
question. It's like
Enjoy it.
who I am as a human, who I
Right.
am as a businesswoman are two different things, but also, you know. they
Let's intertwine
merge.
them a little bit. Let's
Okay.
merge them. Yep.
I think that's important to do because if you're only focused on like one aspect of your growth, like if you're only focused on growth monetarily or in your business, then you kind of leave another part of you behind. So I think it's
Right.
important to focus on both. So I say that to say, as I kind of saw growth in myself as a person, I think that's when I really got into like my bag as far as my career is concerned. Because obviously, when you're closer to yourself, you make better business decisions that suit you better.
Right.
You're actually more in touch with like the things that you're put here to do.
Absolutely.
And so, as far as my journey in nightlife is concerned, You know, I started a very long time ago in nightlife. I was a bottle service girl.
Okay.
And
Where at?
my first job ever was in Philly because I'm from New Jersey. So my first time kind of venturing out into like a city atmosphere was in Philly. I started doing bottle service. I think that even though I never loved the hours, and I still don't, I think that because I have like a hustler mentality, the ability to make a certain amount of money in a short period of time was kind of what attracted me to nightlife initially. But I did see, like, kind of as I moved on in my career, different cities. I was in Atlanta for a little bit before I came to the West Coast. Yeah, ATL. And I got to see how different cities do it. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different vibe. Every city has a different vibe, especially if you're talking about major cities. And I thought it was cool that the nightlife, I think, in any major city sets a tone for the entire city. It's part of the branding of the city, I
Absolutely.
guess. You know what I mean?
Dynamic,
The heartbeat.
Yes, it is. And it's part of it ends up being woven into the fabric of the culture of the space. And that was when I started to kind of figure out what I felt like my niche in nightlife would be. So I ended up in LA, and I started off doing bottle service there probably about 10 years ago. And the venue that I was at the time happened to have there were a lot of holes, there were voids, there were things that I consider myself a solution-orientated person. And I saw a bunch of things that I just felt like could have been done better and made the operation as a whole run more smoothly. And I felt like we could have been giving the clients a bigger, more memorable experience if we would just tweak certain things. And even though at the time I wasn't in like a management position, I naturally just kind of implement things that I think are beneficial to anywhere I'm at. I think, you know, that's a pretty big deal. So
Yeah, that's
I
dope.
started there.
And I would think that, like, how is that, what kind of challenge is that? Because I would think, like, obviously, not in a downplay moment, but, like, obviously you're a bottle service girl, and everybody else thinks their title means something, a management, etc. And you have these ideas that you feel can, you know, better the club.
Right.
How are you able to present that and not come off as, you know, being pushy or bossy or basically like downplaying what they have going on? Or were you? Maybe you
I don't
just
think,
like,
because I don't think I was good at that.
Okay.
I've never approached a situation with the attempt to downplay anything because, I don't know, I think I've always been sure of myself. A title was never something that defined me because I'm many, many things. I think as human beings, we're a bunch of things.
Right.
If we're just our work title, that's a very sad life, right? But I've always been an artist in many different facets. So creatively, I just always felt like, well, this absolutely makes sense. And if I present this to the person that can implement these things and they don't think it makes sense, then that would be their loss. And that never bothered me. I never took that kind of stuff personally.
Right.
But my personality, I can't help myself but to be like, listen, there's a better way to do this and let me show you. So basically, initially, I put together some packages that I felt like would have enhanced the venue overall, like bottle service packages, some cosmetic changes, and I priced them out because I know in business, I've always had like a business-oriented mindset. At the end of the day, a lot of people who are not creative, they just want to know how much is it going to cost to execute these things. So that was how I approached every idea that I brought to the table at the first venue that I was at in LA. And it wasn't just an idea. It was fully like planned out. This is how we execute it. This is how much it's going to cost. This is how long it's going to take. And this is why I think we need to do it. Thankfully, in that venue, they were very receptive to the help, and I ended up becoming a manager at that venue just because I mean, it was a natural progression because I was bringing a lot more to the table than just what my title was at the time. So, you know, in exchange for my intellectual property, I, you know, asked to be put in a different position, and that's what happened. And then we go from there.
So from bottle girl or bottle waitress to manager. What club? Can you disclose what club that is out in LA? I mean, because look, here's the thing. Most people that frequent LA, it's not that easy to go from that position to management position.
Right.
It's very difficult. You know, so for you to come all the way from the East Coast, you know, put yourself out there, be very vocal on, you know, how you can be a benefit to the company and then be receptive in a town like LA.
Right.
You know, that has to come with challenges. So like,
For sure.
you know, what spot was that? You know, if
So
you care to
where
disclose.
I first started was Penthouse Day
Okay.
Club in LA, and
Been there. It's
yeah,
fun.
Yeah, it's an experience for sure. The ownership and I grew over time. You know, I exceeded a management position and became a director of operations and then a partner. But it is difficult. I think that it's how you approach anything in life. If you're sure about what you're saying and why you're saying it and what your intention is, I mean, if somebody doesn't get on board, it's just not meant. You know what I mean? It's just not meant to be. So while there were definitely challenges, I'm a woman, obviously. I was coming from a bottle service position and kind of made a beeline for a pretty direct route to a different level in nightlife. But I was just sure of what I wanted and how I saw myself. I think that's a really something that you can apply to any industry, any job, any time in your life. How you see yourself is how you carry yourself. You know what I mean? Your circumstances don't dictate how you see yourself at the time. And I was 100% sure of what my life was going to look like as a whole. That's why I said that in the beginning about personal growth being equally as important as monetary and career growth. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I was sure of where I was going, and I approached it that way. So either my environment was either going to adapt to what I saw in my head, or I was going to change my environment. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely. Which most people, I see a lot of people in LA that don't, at least from my perspective, I don't see them on that path. You know what I'm saying? So for you to have a plan and pretty much execute that plan is impressive because, oh, you're welcome. So like, no, but it's one of those things where, especially in LA, it's so easy for all of these brilliant ideas to be overlooked because you are a woman in that environment. The fact that you did that and you're also maintaining and balancing a personal life, which we want to go into that because that's a huge part of who you are, who Sasha Lance is. So you know, from our understanding, you're an artist as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So how are you juggling making this life work in management and nightlife in LA, one of the biggest cities in the country, biggest cities, most known cities in the world, and then you're an artist as well. Like how are you balancing that? Like when did you become an artist?
Oh, I've always been. I was a professional dancer my whole life. That was, you know, if you would have asked me when I was 18, that was what I was gonna do. I mean,
break dancing?
The jokes on and off camera with him are on another level. No, not breakdancing. Classically trained ballet, jazz.
Okay.
On some Alvin
theater.
Ailey type shit.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Alvin
That's
Ailey,
impressive.
Martha Graham.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a big part, I think, of what made me who I am to begin with. There's such a discipline that comes with being a dancer. Like if you take it really seriously, obviously. But it was a huge contrast to my environment. I mean, I grew up in Jersey, in definitely not the best neighborhood, not the best. I hate to say it like that. Not the best childhood. You know what I mean?
I mean, you gotta
You
spade
know,
is a spade.
for sure. I mean, that's just what it is. A pretty cliche inner city kid story. But I think that I just owe so much to dance and like the discipline and the structure that it gave me, because I did not have that in my real life. I only had it in that space.
Right.
So even though that I didn't end up pursuing it long term, it definitely gave me a set of values, like a value system, and the ability to prioritize at such a young age, because I was doing it at a professional level. So, you know, times that maybe I would have been kind of like getting into shit that I had no business getting into, or, you know, I went to high school in an inner city, but what kept me out of the shit that happened after school was that I had to be at rehearsal. I was being held accountable at a very young age, and I do think that I know that it shaped me in many ways. So, what was your original question? Because I went
The
off.
balance. No, you're
The
good.
balance. Okay, yes.
I think it's
so that is part of the balance.
Yeah.
I'll say that then. haven't always been good at the balance, though. That's real. I think when you have like an ambitious personality just in general, or you see big things for your life, sometimes that shit keeps you up at night, right?
Right,
Am I
for
right?
sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You're like up, you're writing in your notes, and sometimes I was working so much that I would look up and I'd be like, yo, where did the last year go? You know?
Right.
And that was something that, again, where personal growth and your growth in your career collide, I really had to look at how I was spending the majority of my time. And although I think I'll always be like what some people consider a workaholic, the balance that I have now is so important, and it's something that it took me time to realize how important it was. I was burning myself out, and I was accomplishing a lot, right? I was checking a lot of boxes off, but I just didn't feel good always. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think working out became a huge part of balance for me. It's like a time of day that you set aside for yourself, for your body, for your mind. Meditation is something that changed my life, you know, when I first started meditating, because I was high pressure, high expectations jobs, right? It can put you in a mindset that you cannot slow down from. Like, I would find myself in bed, like, with all my ideas and all of my to-do lists and not able to shut it down. And I think we glorify, like, a hustler thing these days, which I'll never shy away from that. I'm all about hard work, but you have to have balance, and I think it looks different for everybody.
Facts.
For me, it's getting out into nature. That's how I'm able to disconnect, like hiking, anything that has to do with, like, solitude and, you know.
Well, I mean, it's important. I mean, it's extremely important because you're working. You're not just a bartender picking up random shifts. You're in management. So now, like you said, being held accountable and the responsibility levels have changed.
Right.
So you're managing, a huge club in LA. You're still an artist.
Right.
And anyone that's a creative.
That part.
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
We'll circle back.
Okay.
Anyone as a creative needs that balance.
Right.
And, you know, one thing that this is people in this game.
Right.
So, you know, all throughout these conversations that we're having, it's good for our audience to know this type of balance that you speak of.
Yeah.
Work balance. Because there are creatives that are working that got to, you know, make ends meet.
Right.
Facts.
But there are people that are big dreamers.
Yeah, of course.
You know, in our earlier episodes, as we introduced ourselves, we talk about these things.
Right.
And how important it is to be able to still be a creative and figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, of course.
So it's very important that, you know, you let them know the type of balance that you have.
Yeah.
Meditation is huge. It's, I think, something that is starting to be recognized a lot more.
It is,
as we
yeah.
talk more about mental health.
Yeah.
But it's still drill it home. You know, just like we do everything else. If it's meditation, it's being out in nature, you got to let them know that balance, because that's important. That for someone that's working a 9 to 5, there is no other time. You know, by the time you get home from a 9 to 5, it's pretty much winding down and then resetting for the next day.
Right.
And then you look up, the week's over.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how are you doing this? Because it also is LA, and LA is expensive. So you're not only making ends meet, you're making good money, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And you're still finding time to do your art.
Right.
So it started from dancing.
Yeah.
And then where did it go?
So I always sang as well, and
Like in the church or just in
no.
the show? And that was
Yo.
Everybody sounds
where
good in
did
the
y'all
shower.
find him at? I can't.
DC? No, I'm sorry. Boy, it was here, but
Right.
Right.
yeah.
No, but really, like, I mean, I
But
sing
singing
the
in
shower.
what capacity, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was obviously in dance, there's a theater aspect to it, so that was kind of how I really Broadway style stuff. But I've always been like, music is in my veins. It was just something that I was really passionate about. And in dance, if you're like in it at a certain level, you take most of your classes to live instrumentation. So that was big for me too. And I think it was a natural progression for me. I always loved it. I was great at it. I was passionate about it. Any form of expression for me there's a bunch of ways that you can express yourself, and that was one of them. And you know, I got signed to a talent agency when I was 18. Huge, like what you would think in the movies when you go to New York City. It was like a huge cattle call.
Okay.
Audition for Clear Talent was the agency. That's still a reputable agency today.
I know it.
And it was like 500 people in the beginning of the day. We got down to the last like 25 people. And Lorianne Gibson, are you familiar with?
Yep.
She's
Yep.
right. So she, huge choreographer. She was the one that was leading the audition. She was really hard on me. Not for nothing, she was really hard on me. But at the end, they ended up cutting me. So this is 500 people down to 25 people, and then they ended up calling me 2 days later and signing me. So it was a weird situation. Say that to say, when I first booked my first professional dancing gig, it wasn't my first professional, but with that agency, it was dancing behind a recording artist who had just got signed. It was like a radio festival. And I'm not gonna lie, I was behind her, and I was like, why would I dance behind somebody that I felt that I was more talented than? It just didn't make any sense to me.
Do we know who that person is?
No, actually, nothing
Okay,
ever
good.
came to fruition
That's
of that
good.
situation.
That's good.
Okay.
We don't
That
want
would
to
have
throw
been a
no
good
shot.
story.
Yeah, throw
That
no
would've been-
shot.
I would have said it if it
So I was
wasn't.
dancing behind Beyonce. No, it's what I'm
And
joking.
I'm
No,
like,
no, no.
yo,
Right.
she can't handle my sauce. Get out my way.
But that was the energy I
No, I
had
get it.
towards the situation. Yeah. So, anyways, after that, I went and recorded my first song. Skipping a lot of stuff, but long story short, I was doing an open mic in Philly. There was a producer there from Atlanta who was, well known at the time, and I flew to Atlanta. I recorded this is like it was called a demo still, which is like ridiculous. But I recorded. I mean, I'm not old, but music
we
has
not.
So it was
changed.
on the tape, or was it a CD?
Nigga. This is why. No, it was a CD.
Okay. I mean,
It was a CD. No, but I recorded like 5 songs with him, and then I ended up signing a production deal. That's how I ended up in Atlanta to begin with.
Okay.
And from there, I think I found who I was as an artist in Atlanta. I always give Atlanta that was like my artist development period.
Yeah, that's dope.
And at the time, bottle service was my side hustle. As you know, that's a very typical story of any, artist.
Atlanta got a great club scene too,
Yeah,
though, so
absolutely.
that's easy money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And there's an energy in clubs in Atlanta, and the way they
it's
support
different.
the artists
Yeah.
is a different thing. And I think I learned a lot about nightlife there too. When I came out to the West Coast, I was in LA for a little bit. I ended up getting signed to a smaller label. It was called Lighthouse Music Group at the time, and we had like a distribution deal with a major, and it was a learning experience. I was a full-time artist at the time. I had my own studio, and that was my life, so I was probably, I want to say 70 records in, and no album released. Again, a very stereotypical like new artist story.
yeah.
Right.
It was a bad contract. I
Shelved.
did not
Shelved
look at my
360,
paperwork
yeah.
properly. I mean, I did have an attorney, but at the end of the day, I don't think I spent enough time choosing the attorney, and I poured a lot of my soul into that time, and it never got put out. So I spent some time in court getting out of that paperwork, and in the meantime, you have to make money. I've always had a lot of responsibilities, just as a whole in my life. So I went back to nightlife, and again, it was similar. I just have that ability, and I think of it as like a blessing. I really do. It was a gift to be able to zoom out of any situation I'm in, right? And I felt like just a few weeks into me being there, I just looked at the operation as a whole, and coming from like an artist background and also just a desire to like organize things, I saw things, like I told you, that I could bring to the table, and I brought those things to the table, and that's how we end up in management, which as an artist, right, you usually have a side job. You don't take on a whole other career.
Correct.
Right.
And that's what I ended up doing. So that was very interesting. But I was in court for a long time getting out of that paperwork. And in the meantime, like I said, I saw myself in a certain light. So I think that's a big thing. Like, if anybody is watching that is an artist, or you're pursuing the things that you like love, that you're passionate about, that like wake you up in the morning or keep you up at night, you can't totally neglect the fact that you have to progress in other areas of your life. You know what I mean?
dope.
And sometimes if you put all of the weight and energy that you have on the things that you love, you push it away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't even realize, like, if you're neglecting other areas of your life, it's hard to focus on your art. It's
Right.
hard to even get into a creative space if you're worried about monetary things, if you're worried about, you know? So I just felt like it was necessary that I made sure, aside from the fact that, you know, my mom has always been like a big responsibility of mine. It's just me and her. So I did also have that kind of holding me accountable. I couldn't do the broke artist thing, and it's not, no
I feel you.
offense
Right.
I
to
feel you.
anybody, because I
Yeah,
put
the starving artist.
tens of thousands of dollars into my own music. After I got out of my paperwork, I did crazy things.
I need you to make that very clear. That is
Yeah.
something that most people don't understand, because especially now, you know, we in the social media age.
Right.
So everybody wants to look the part.
Right.
And I have a friend, this producer friend in particular, he posted like a couple years ago. I know it struck nerves in people that do this.
Yeah.
They spend so much money for the look, but they're not putting it into
The craft.
the craft, your engineering, you know. And it's just like, people have to understand, like, don't worry about the look so much. Worry about perfecting the craft.
Yeah,
Now, obviously, if you got extra money,
of course.
then you know you polish up the presentation, because
course.
marketing comes with that, right?
Right.
You got to market yourself
Right.
as the best package you can possibly, you know,
Right.
market. But artists need to know that you have to put the money, you have to invest in yourself. That's
Absolutely.
essentially what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So that's good. It's not even so much about the look per se. It's more so about, well, I'm an artist, so I'm gonna put everything into it. So you're reinvesting in yourself. That's very
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah.
You know,
for
instead
sure.
of trying to be seen on somebody's social media page.
Yeah, no, I
Because
agree.
Henry knows I'm a stickler with stuff like that. It's like, look, like, that look means nothing.
If the music can't back it up, that's
Well, yeah.
completely accurate. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, Henry told me a story off camera earlier today about somebody in particular that I'm not going to go into detail about,
Okay.
but it was for the look. Everything, the whole presentation looked great, but doesn't have a pot to piss in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think that, you know, as obviously as artists, we have to remember, like, all right, if you're a sneaker addict, cool, get you a couple pair of sneakers, but
Right.
don't worry about lining and lacing your whole closet with every sneaker that comes out. Take that money and reinvest it in your craft.
Right.
Facts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
The
Henry's an
stimmies.
ultimate
Stimmies.
businessman. So, you know, he's a firm believer in these ideas too. So it's interesting that we tell our guests that
Yeah.
and our audience that, because there's people that's watching is like, oh, how is she pulling that off?
Yeah.
You know, how are you doing the things you're doing? So
Right.
go ahead and continue on.
No, but what you said is so true. I mean, I think that's more of like a, not just specific to artistry, that's life in
Life in
general,
general,
right?
right.
Like, what it looks like and what it is can be very disconnected at times for people, and I think that's like a problem with our generation as a whole a little bit. I mean, that's like a totally different topic, but how you feel when you're alone behind closed doors, you can't get away from that. You can't run away from yourself. So if you're only putting energy into the appearance and what other people see, and you find yourself putting more energy into the perception of who you are than who you actually are, I mean, the only thing that's going to happen is people are just going to find out when they meet you that
Yep.
that is not
Right.
that's
Yeah.
not really what you're
It's
doing.
a lot of
Front.
frauds.
Like,
in the
what
world.
are you really doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
Yep.
say that a lot, like, in a lot of stuff that I post, a lot of stuff that I do, I'm like, make sure you doing what it look like you doing.
Yeah.
But that's like,
Back
you
it
know,
up.
that's a watered down way of saying something more
Right.
profound, but that's really how I feel. And I think that was also a big part of how I was able to balance things. I think artists specifically, we get so attached to our identity as a recording artist. I know,
Right.
make it like
I get
real
it. No,
passionate.
I feel it.
And I think that's a mistake in some ways. I know it makes for great music in certain spaces of your life, but your identity can't be tied to just your passions. You're so much more than all of that. So in the times that I wasn't able to create necessarily, because say the time that I was stuck in my paperwork, anything that I recorded at the time would have belonged to the label that I was signed to. So
Yeah.
that was like suffocating, right? As
Mhm.
an artist. I found other mediums in my life, you know, even through Nightlife. I made bottle service presentations, full-blown productions. I've done choreography at some of my venues, which is completely unorthodox for somebody to have a director of operations or managing partner title and be doing choreography. But I really looked at it as an all-encompassing thing, because if you're an artist, you're an artist through and through. You can be an artist through many mediums. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I was able to express myself through a bunch of different things that I was doing. And as far as being an artist is concerned, I will always be an artist. I will always make music. It's part of who I am. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And as far as investing in the things that are important, as a woman, especially like, you know, if you're what society considers an attractive woman, you have to fight a little bit harder to be taken seriously in everything. There's not one person that I've ever pressed play on that's been like, damn, you look good, but that's never happened to me, because I take the actual craft of what I do very, very seriously. Seriously.
That's dope you said that, because that was actually where my question was going.
Yeah.
Well, I got two questions.
Okay.
First, what year are we in now? What year are we at this point? We're like 16, 17? 2017. Okay, perfect. So that gives us time to catch up.
Yeah.
But here's the question.
Okay.
Being an attractive woman, and again, I'm saying this in a respectful manner, I'm sure that's an obstacle that you had to overcome. But listening to you talk today, I could tell that being assertive, people kind of take you serious, right? You come off as like that female, like, yo, don't fucking play with me. Don't come at me with the BS.
Right.
Because I'm really going to put you on blast. But, like, I'm sure many a times you found yourself in places where people didn't take you serious at first. And like, how do you, like, utilize, obviously, being attractive? You know, we still want to use what we have, right? I use being handsome to get my way into all the time, you know?
Shameless plug.
But how do you, how have you actually, like, asserted yourself in places and being taken for how you think versus how you look?
Oh man.
I think that if you're not aware of like what you're naturally gifted with, that's just a shame.
Okay.
I get what, you know, being a woman in general is powerful. If you're what society deems as attractive, you know, some things are a little bit easier, right? I think I know I keep saying this, but I have a very strong sense of self, and I feel like that radiates, it cuts through bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Like, cool, okay, oh, you think I'm bad. Oh, shocker. Okay, I've heard that a million times, right? But if you sit down and have a conversation with me, if you were to not take me seriously after that, you would be the fool, not me. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because I've spent too much time. And if we're talking about career-wise at this point, I have many successful venues under my belt that I was with from inception to execution. And I'm talking about in it, like from doing our profit and loss sheets, making sure that we're a profitable company, to also being in charge of the marketing and the branding. You know what I mean? So there's not really anything in this space in nightlife that I haven't done. Operating at a certain percentage of profitability is something that is on my mind no matter what, and I'm big on aesthetic, but I'm able to achieve a certain aesthetic and still not affect our bottom line, you know what I mean? So I'm saying all of that to say, if you know what you're talking about, whatever the fluff is, like, oh, you're a woman, so maybe I have like a male ego that doesn't allow me to take you seriously, or maybe I have a problem with having like a woman as an authoritative figure.
Right.
If after sitting down with me, as far as my, you know, my consulting firm is concerned, if you don't see that I'd be beneficial to your business and you can't like look past all the things that might be blurring your vision, then it's just not a partnership that's meant for me.
Pause for a second. We need to let them know what the consulting firm is.
Oh, it's called the Elevation Consultant.
Elevation Consultant, look them up.
Yes.
Definitely got to do your plug whatever you need to plug on the show, because that's what it's about.
And speak your videos, because I mean, I went to YouTube and looked up Sasha Lance.
Okay.
What'd you find?
Man, I found some dope ass videos. I'm not even gonna lie.
What'd you find?
There is one song though that, boy, you guys go on YouTube, look up the songs. You gonna know which one I'm talking about.
No, which one? You have to tell me. Is it Pull Up? Is it Phases?
It's like later. It's one of the earlier ones, but it's one of them. It's that Come Get Me one. I don't remember the
Ride?
words.
It might be Ride.
It is definitely Ride.
Ah, he remember that word.
Those of you
Ride.
that have not looked up Sasha Lance, you know, enjoy the other videos, but don't watch Ride too long. I'm gonna just tell you that from a fun perspective. But I will say your music is dope.
Thank you.
The music is dope. You know, it is a vibe. You actually, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad way, but you're talented, right? Like, you know, you listen to people that can sing, and it's kind of like, all right, she look good. Can you draw a crowd? We don't care how you sound.
Yeah.
Can you build an audience? And I will say that, like, yo, you got some dope music. So that
Thank
part
you.
was exciting. So looking it up, it's Sasha Lance on YouTube. That's what I did. I don't know. Is that the way to find you? Is that how to find you?
Yeah. Sasha
Okay.
Lance. There's a weird thing happening with Spotify and Apple Music where I'm like Sasha on one platform and Sasha Lance on another, but
We'll
But now
fix
we
that.
know what the weird thing
Yeah,
is. So
that's
it's
the
Sasha
weird
on
thing.
Spotify,
yeah. And
Sasha on Spotify, and Sasha Lance on
Apple.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
But you got to see the videos. The music is dope, but you got to see the videos. I thought the videos were dope too. The one you're in the desert.
Phases.
Yeah, that one's the new.
Thank
that,
you.
That
That
one's
one's
hot.
newer. Yeah.
So are you influencing the videos too? Because I'm hearing the aesthetics. So you like to have your hand. You're in front of the camera and you behind the scenes. So you controlling the narrative on both
horrible.
sides.
I'm both sides, the end, the front, the back, everything.
I got you.
mean,
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I
And it
think
works.
I think it's important. I mean, I have my experiences in the sports entertainment world.
Yeah.
Between New York and LA, and it's very hard to control the narrative.
Yeah.
Especially when you're someone that's attractive, right? So it's like, and this is for anybody, right? This is anybody that is out there, and so I have some friends that are actors. A lot of them want to control the narrative behind the camera.
Right.
And it's important. You
Right.
know, you look at reality TV, no one has control over their person. You know,
Yeah.
that's on TV.
Yeah.
It's whatever the network wants
Right.
And
and
how
how
they
they
wanna
want to
paint
project you
you.
and paint you. Right. You have no control over that.
Yeah.
So
Nobody owns me though.
Oh, okay, Frank Lucas. Nobody
There-
owns me.
There we go.
But no, it's important to hear, you know, that come out of your mouth because
Yeah.
you're juggling a competitive work environment.
Right.
I mean, so like, I'll backtrack because there was a couple things you said about, you know, projecting who you are.
Right.
And if you just can't see that, you know, or you can't see because I'm an attractive female and you
Right.
don't want to respect it, it's like anybody's losing if they're not listening to the females. Everything that we do, you know, is for women. So at the end of the day, you know, and I'm asking this because back in like 2014, actually a little earlier than that, 2013, I was in LA like for a lengthy amount of time, staying in
Okay.
North Hollywood.
Okay.
So it was like the first time I'd ever stayed in LA for an extended period of time. And I wanted to understand the landscape. I'm a landscape guy. So like
Okay.
any small town, big town, I want to know what's going on. It's one of
Right.
the reasons why we're here at Bloom.
Right.
You know, we got this big monster on the strip of all these casinos. You either MGM or you Steve Wynn,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Here comes Bloom out of left field. People are coming off the strip. We talk about this almost every other episode.
Yeah.
They come in 15 minutes off the strip to come kick it here,
Yeah.
right? So one thing I did not hear you say, and from my understanding of your background, you didn't work for SBE, and that's a monster in LA. And this is no disrespect to SBE, it's no shots or anything, but that's a monster in itself. I seen friends that were promoters, some worked for SBE, some didn't, and it's how much control one group has over the town versus the other. So, and I'm not sure if any of those venues were SBE, were they?
Mine?
No.
Absolutely not.
That's what I was making sure.
No.
None of those venues were SBE. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to tell the audience these venues. So let them know what venues these are so they
Okay.
know what we're talking about.
Penthouse Day Club,
Penthouse Day Club.
I've been to
Ace of
Penthouse.
Diamonds LA,
I've been to Ace of Diamonds.
Murano, Ballet Hollywood.
Ballet.
Yeah, Ballet Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood.
That was our newest concept. And no, we I shouldn't say we because I've stepped back, but
But I mean, you're a part of the energy that
for sure.
is created
Well,
there because I seen the
that's
visuals. That's why when you
undebatable.
started saying your hands are inside of the visuals,
Absolutely.
the management,
Absolutely.
the things that have driven me to those places, with the exception of probably 2 venues.
Penthouse is dope, bro.
Penthouse, I've seen aesthetically, that's probably one of the best clubs, and I'm not saying that because you're sitting here.
Yeah.
Like my boys, shout out to Daryl Boykin, promoted your club.
Yeah.
Man, the videos he was posting, I'm like, yo, why is it so green in there? You know, it's just amazing. Ballet, same thing. Like conceptually, I didn't see SBE doing any of that.
No.
And I was there, so I'm like, and I got some real good friends that worked for SBE, so
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't see them doing the things that you're doing. So it's very unique to have someone that started off where you started off at and worked your way up, and you're really kind of pushing the needle for Los Angeles culture. Because I'm gonna be honest, like it was a summer I missed. I was like, damn, I wish I was.
Yeah.
I need to get to LA. Like, it was only one other place I went to was I think it was 14.
Okay.
Colony.
Yeah.
Colony, and there was another spot that was rivaling it, like literally a few blocks over. I can't think of it right now, but I just kept seeing the visuals. Like, it was just like, yo, first of all, I never seen the women that were there in any of the other clubs. I mean, of course there were women that go to all these clubs, but the look was different.
Yeah.
That
was intentional.
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah. And then the level of influencers, like the celebrity, was different, you know. And it just, I could just feel the energy from the video. And for me, and they know me, I'm like all into this. Even our producer Daryl, he knows. Like, I'm like, I gotta look at I gotta get the energy from the camera. Every spot you name has that.
Right.
So that's really dope. And, you know, I just had to put that out there because
I appreciate that.
they need to know these venues. So when they see some changes happening over on this side of town in Henderson, they know where it came
Sasha
from.
Lance put that together.
We know
Yo,
where it came
Penthouse is
from.
dope though, and I always had a good time because I would always roll out with E Mills. And if anybody
You
knows,
definitely
E
had a
Mills,
great time if you were with E.
man, E Mills is dope. You know, we show up. I'm talking about it might be 4 of us, and it's 52 of them.
Yeah, the ratio with E is
It's ridiculous.
a great time for men.
And,
That's
so
what-
shout out E Mills because he continues to do it out there.
Yeah,
And but I mean, you're here now.
I am.
Yeah, so we you know, we have to know if you feel like obliging on the plans, the things that you got going on in
for
Vegas. What does
sure.
Vegas have to look forward to?
What brought you here?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wanted to kind of step away from, and I appreciate everything you guys said about the venues in LA. That was a lot of blood, sweat, tears, no sleep,
We know
hours
where
and
it came
hours
from.
upon
'Cause
hours.
I didn't
of
know
my
where it
life.
came from. I was like, oh, this is dope.
Yeah, so
Accredited.
I was able to build a lot with the owners of Penthouse, and all the venues that we discussed is same ownership. So no SBE, no huge conglomerate hospitality group. There's many more in LA. There's H Wood. There's there's a bunch. We were definitely a mom and pop hospitality group, but we had some of the biggest, most influential venues in the city for sure.
Oh yeah.
I think this is another important point to discuss. I made a decision because I had already started to do consulting work. I made a decision to completely go out on my own because there comes a point in your life, and specifically in your career, no matter what you do, where you have to bet on yourself. You have to take that risk, you know what I mean? And I felt, I think with being as respectful as possible, I could no longer grow in that space. I feel like just who I am as a person, the way I'm wired, I was meant to be out on my own, right? And even though I had gotten to managing partner status, which in Nightlife, outside of like 100% ownership, managing partner is, that's it. There's nowhere else to go from there. That's the ceiling, right? Where you're a part of the operation, on I guess like a weekly, monthly basis, but you also, have a percentage of the business. So that's great. I think it's so important that you get into business with people that your values align as human beings first, before business. And I think as I got further into my career, that became even more important. You spend so much time with the people that you do business with. And even though I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm always going to be grateful for what that situation provided me, there is nothing like knowing that you're on the same page with the people that you're spending the majority of your time with. So when I made the decision to really do consulting full time, it gave me a freedom that is just wired into my DNA. I usually go into venues for 3 months max. I take contracts, and I have like a bunch of different packages that I offer at my consulting firm. So
is this temporary?
Temporary. Almost anything that I do as a consultant is temporary, but I do, I retain a piece of every business that I put my hand on, even after I leave. That's how my firm
That's how you get
is
a
set
bag.
up.
That's what that says.
It's just what makes sense. If I'm gonna, again, we talked about intellectual property in the beginning. And being an artist in any medium, your intellectual property is something that I urge you to find a way to monetize for your own sanity. You must monetize your intellectual property. You have to.
Wow.
I had to look at the camera on that.
Yeah.
That's major game.
That's
If
deep.
you didn't hear anything else that I said,
Say it again.
monetize
And
your
if you didn't
intellectual
hear anything
property.
else you said, all you got to do is stop,
Rewind.
And push
and
play.
play.
Because that was the shit right there.
Facts. That's a Fendi fact.
So I think that just became something that I wasn't willing to budge on that. So, we mentioned earlier some things I have going on in Miami. So I'm
Off
in a few
camera.
different places. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that was off camera.
Off camera, yeah.
I can't tell anymore.
Yeah, don't-
I'm a few different places.
She gonna
right
be
now.
on South Beach though.
Actually, not South Beach because they're trying to
Wynwood?
do some really weird. Yes. Some really weird
see,
shit.
I know listen, Miami, that's my other spot.
Okay. Yeah.
So as soon as you said, no, not South Beach, she in
yeah.
Wynwood, bro.
No. And plus, they're
I
doing a
already
weird
know.
thing with the curfew on South Beach.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
getting crazy.
I mean, I think
Shout out to
somebody
Exchange in
from
Miami.
what your shout out to Exchange. We got to shout out to Fan. That's his family down
word.
there.
Nice.
No, but that's super important. Like, here's the thing: you listed off a bunch of very posh, phenomenally put together venues. When you first said Miami, I was like, oh, she's going to Wynwood. That's Midtown. That's Wynwood Midtown area is where she's going.
Yep.
And if not there, she's either on Brickell or Biscayne
Yeah.
or something like that. You know, because like that's the thing is it just seems like every direction you're going, the wave that you're creating a wave. You're not, and that's really, we came up with the show for the same purpose. It's like, we know everybody's on the strip.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the casino hosts, the VIP hosts.
Word.
Shout out to all the promoters. Like, we not knocking nobody
Of course not.
that's doing what they're doing. You know, but unless you're not a club owner, you got to create your own wave.
Absolutely.
And you're doing things away from, you're going against the grain.
I am.
And that's very
That's a super
it's
big
daring.
point.
It's daring, especially as a woman. And I don't say that because I don't look at it as male or female who does the job or who does what better. It's whoever is fit is fit. But you are going against the grain.
Absolutely.
And I see it. I think it's dope.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's why I bought the whole Wynwood. Oh,
Yeah.
she's going to Wynwood. I
But
already knew that.
you mentioned other bigger hospitality groups.
Yeah.
And I think that would be like the natural progression in my career is to like align with that's what most people I think expected me to do, coming from where.
That's just what you do, though.
Right.
You know, most people's vision, their vision is to, I need to align with SBE, or I need to align with.
This is my question though, which everybody has like a different way that they view their life, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's what makes people individual. Everybody, looks at life differently. SBE was nothing before it was SBE, right?
Right.
So
Facts. They had to start somewhere.
Right.
I'm with you.
So I say that to say like what my hospitality group was called, which is a derivative of the consulting firm. It's called Elevated Experiences. It's like that can absolutely be synonymous with any of those.
Oh, 100%.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
1000%
think
agree.
I think people miss it sometimes because
Yeah.
even there's been people who know the venues that I come from that have seen me here. You know what I mean? And been
Yeah.
like, so what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I say that to say I've had job offers from many of the hospitality groups that we've discussed.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't they offer you?
But it depends on who you are.
Yeah.
I think I can't imagine myself giving any more of my time to somebody else's vision.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I just could not imagine it. I
You
really
have
couldn't.
You have to say that.
So
Daryl knows.
that's why when
Daryl
you say
knows,
I'm
yeah.
off the strip, that's why. I did it on Sunset Boulevard. I did it on Robertson. You don't think I can do it in Henderson too?
Right.
Yep.
Bitch, watch me.
Yeah.
That's how I
That's
feel.
what I'm talking about. Talk
But
your
that's
shit.
my energy
Right.
though.
That's-
towards
that's-
everything that I do.
That
Yeah.
matches
everything
us
that I
all
do.
though, because I mean, Nick has a story where he walked away from an opportunity in corporate world.
Episode 3.
Yeah, to episode 3 to
Okay.
explain
What was that, two?
how he branched off into
Two episodes.
how he branched off into his own creative space now.
Yeah.
And then for me, I worked in the corporate world and
Okay.
then got into just kind of, I'm just starting my own. From here on out,
Yeah.
everything's my own brand.
Yeah.
Yes, I can get help. Yes, I can get money.
Of course.
But I'm a self-funded because my passion is derived from the energy I want to put in. I want to reap the most of that energy.
Yeah.
Even if the dollar amount might not manage to the same money.
At that moment.
Right,
At
at that moment, right. I love being responsible for the success that I've been able to breed to myself. And Andrea's story is the same, right? She was in LA.
Worked for a bunch of big names.
Yes, and then pulled herself back into Las Vegas, and she's now become her own self-brand and been able to do it. And I think that's huge when talking about people. It's like how important it is to not feel trapped in a job or a career because of the status that it brings you. Like, so many people get folded on status. We just had this conversation about even interest in something, right?
Such a big deal.
I own 100% of my stuff. Like, I think of my stuff, like, I could probably make more money being 10% owner of somebody else's thing. But I spend my 100% so much better. Like, you know what I mean? For me.
Yeah.
And the growth, I love being responsible for it. Like, I can't take responsibility as the 10% owner to the business that blew. I'm like, I helped. And that's all you did. You owned a little bit. So I'm saying all of that kind of thing to say is like, for you, the business is now growing. Now there's a split though, because Sasha Lance is also a brand.
Right.
How are you navigating it too? Because we see where you're going in the business wise.
Yeah.
But where's Sasha Lance, the brand, going?
I think I'm just.
Make this a good gym, because this might be the last one. So
Yeah,
come
I gotcha.
hard. Come hard.
No pressure. I think that we have to stop allowing society to box us in. I know that I'm a multi-hyphenate in ways that contradict each other, right? So a lot of people, when they see somebody as a recording artist, it's like, you can't be anything else. How can you also be a businesswoman? How can you also own nightclubs? How can you also train staffs of people? How can you also... Nobody can tell you what you are and what you aren't. You're the only person who really knows that shit at the end of the day. Like, I know when you look in the mirror, you see all of the things that you want to be. You see all of the things that you're capable of. I'm sure it's the same for you. Nobody else can tell you.
I'm standing next to.
Huh?
Oh, I'm saying I even see the people I'm standing next to.
Yeah, it's okay. I have multiple personality disorder as well. So I feel like I'm not one thing, and you can't make me be one thing. No societal pressures can make me be one thing. I have always been business minded, always. You know what I mean? And I've always had, what I like to call an ownership mindset. But I'm also an artist. I'm
Definitely.
also a dancer. I'm also so many things. So the way that I balance the brand is that, and I also wrote a book, and I also have another company that it hasn't launched yet, that has nothing to do with any of this. It's a custom gift box company, but I'm saying
I don't even know what it is, but
that works.
I'm in.
It's
Whatever
called
it is, I'm in.
That works.
It's called the Gesture Company, but I'm saying all of that to say, like, I don't want this to get confused with being like a jack of all trades and a master of none. This is why I said personal growth is just as important. If you spend enough time with yourself, your gut instinct is worth trusting. I know the shit that I'm good at, and it just happens to be like 5 different things that, might have one thread running through them, but they're wildly different things. And I'm not afraid to say that I am a recording artist. I always will be. But I'm also a business owner. And I'm also a nightlife and hospitality consultant. And I'm also sexy. And I'm also still young. And I'm also still... You can be a businesswoman and be... Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Own everything. Own everything that belongs to you.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
People look at... Like, if you run a business, you have to be like... I don't know. They expect... Everybody here, when they heard that a nightlife consultant was coming... Everybody was like, oh, we thought like some matronly, like older woman was gonna come with like a briefcase and a clipboard and blah blah blah. Like, no, I'm fly as fuck, but I really know what I'm talking about though. Yeah. So the way that I manage the brand is that I just am myself through and through, no matter what, no matter what it is. If I'm recording a music video, that's what I'm doing. If I'm running a business in that moment, that's what I'm doing, and not in a sloppy way, because I really know what the fuck I'm doing in every avenue.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I think as long as you're confident, truly educated, and the universe knows what sweat equity you put in, the universe knows how many hours you put into something. If you really know your shit, you can manage any brand. You know what I mean? You can manage anything, because when you press me about it, I'm going to be able to have a real dialogue with you about it. So if we're talking about music, you'll know off bat that that's something that I really do. If we're talking about nightlife and hospitality, you'll know right away that immediately I'm an expert in that field. I'm not going to claim anything that I don't really know for real. So I think making sure that you have spent the real time and put in the real grind and the real hustle and whatever you're talking about allows you to be anything that you want to be. I might be twerking on my story one day. That doesn't mean that I wasn't running numbers that morning. I wrote a book and I'm currently talking to a couple of publishers. That doesn't mean that I might not be choreographing something or shooting a promotional video for Bloom the next day. So, and to speak specifically to Bloom, to wrap it up, I'm here and not on the Strip because I think that Daniel, the owner, we have similar stories in the way that we came up in the industry on his end through restaurants. Mm-hmm. He was a line cook, and then he was a chef, Facts. And then he was. I'm sure
he was
you guys,
on our episode, right?
Right. No, I know you guys.
He's
so,
episode 4.
So I'm saying that to say he knows the ins and outs of his shit the same way that I do, and we both bet on ourselves in different ways and different times in our lives. And I saw something in him, and I felt something about this space. I saw a challenge in this space that I haven't had in a long time. I've been in huge, large-scale venues. Like, this is another personal challenge. Like, watch me do it here too. That's how I feel about it.
Hell
That's
yeah.
how I feel about it.
Listen.
Y'all are winning.
Look.
Thank you.
We can do this all day.
Did a whole thing.
But you got business to handle. Mm-hmm. This is the part where I say my drink is empty, so I got to get round 2.
Okay.
But before we do that,
My drink's empty too.
please let them know where to find you on social media outlets.
Okay. I'm Sasha Lance on all social media. So Instagram, I don't have 25,000 social media profiles, but on Instagram I'm Sasha Lance, and you can see most of what I'm doing there.
There it is. I'm sure it's a link tree on there that takes you in different.
There's a couple things on there.
Okay.
If you don't check out the music videos,
Please.
You sleep.
Check
Don't
out
sleep.
the music
Don't
videos.
sleep.
Check out the
download
venues.
the music on Apple.
Check out all her venues if you're in LA. Most definitely come kick it at Bloom.
No, definitely come to
This brand
Bloom.
is blowing up.
And wait until
every
you
day.
see it after the renovation. We have to do an episode after the renovation.
Oh,
for
1,000%, guys.
Okay.
You know, that's
yeah.
that.
Well, we'll
that'd
do
be-
access to plug. We'll put you in on that
Awesome.
too.
Yeah,
People to watch.
and that'll be in our second season because you know we gonna keep it with the blue, the core. But
Gotcha.
once we see what you got brewing over
Yeah,
here,
you gonna tear our shit.
we're gonna
down.
tailor. We're gonna tailor
I'm gonna give you
the
something
scene
a little
compared to what you got going on.
different.
But yeah, this has been another episode of the Plug, man.
Yeah, it has
Right.
been.
I'm heading
You
over
lended
to the bar.
a lot of game. You
Thank
definitely
you.
did that.
I appreciate
She
that.
definitely babysitted the Valentino.
I told
Don't
you I
tell
was gonna
Valentino
babysit
that.
though. I told on
Right.
myself
You
ahead of
did.
time.
You did.
I told
You
you
did.
It
was
looks
about to be-
nice though.
It's
Yeah.
cute, but
It
I
was
told you it
definitely
was gonna
good.
be halfway full at the end.
Right.
All right. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really
Cheers.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
I am the plug.